This is Hannibal back here with a daily wrestling news update for you. My second wrestling news update of the day. I did one earlier where I touched on wrestlers' pay, such as Chris Jericho. If you average out his pay this year, he's making either 650,000 per match or 750,000 per match because he only had 8 matches and he's either making 5 or 6 million a year. But I guess there was a false report on the minimum NXT pay. Our former NXT wrestler Priscilla Kelly, aka Gigi Dolan, who I do think is a good wrestler. She was talking about how low the pay is in NXT, which it is very low compared to like AEW, where they're making millions to get worse ratings than NXT. But she had said the minimum pay was 30,000, and it may have been when she was in NXT, but apparently Brian Alvarez from the Wrestling Observer has confirmed that the minimum pay in NXT is $750,000 a year, and the bigger name talent brought in from outside can can make up to 250,000. So yeah, and I think I've heard there's been some a little bit more than that too in recent years, but you could say that's low pay, but if you consider like your there's one television taping for NXT a week, and sometimes they have house shows in front of like, from what I understand, they're lucky if it's 100 people. Where as a guy that's only wrestled on the indies, and I will say this, I am better and more famous than a lot of NXT wrestlers. I just didn't get the opportunities for well documented reasons. But like I've done so many free matches because in the US, without a work visa, you got to wrestle for free. And in Canada, get in Stampede, it was between 5 or 50. I started promoting Great North Wrestling to make more money as a wrestler because then I could make in the thousands. It took more work, but promoting a show. So I don't have. I respect Gigi. I actually think she's good. I don't think Ridge Holland is good. I think he has a decent physique. He's only been in the news for getting released after having a very poor run, making probably the I heard he was making around 400,000 in WWE at one point and then got cut in half for his last year in NXT. But I don't have sympathy for people that have got opportunities to get over and not really got over. I wish him good luck. He seems like a nice guy, but to have GoFundMe's after a WWE run, really? Welcome to the real world, buddy. Apparently, for ID contracts, they're the only contracts that could make 30,000 or less. So maybe that's what Priscilla Kelly was talking about, and those are the wrestlers that are in like the Booker T schools and the WWE indie schools where they get extra money to do those indie shows. SmackDown was up from its 0.20 rating last week. Well, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now. They were only up a little bit though, 0.26 and 1.14 million viewers, but they had under a million viewers for the first time in SmackDown's history a couple weeks ago. And again, it's going to be the new normal because the product, I mean, they'll have a couple boosts here and there with Cena still kicking around, but I'm still waiting to see they're paying these NXT wrestlers so much. Where is the next John Cena? Because I know when John Cena started, he was in Rick Bassman's UPW, which sure as hell he wasn't getting paid 75,000 a year. He probably got a better deal when he signed with OVW because he was kind of the chosen one. But I know he slept in his car and ate pizza for quite a while before they signed him to OVW. Saturday's AEW Collision, and again, these AEW people are the like. Yes, NXT makes not much compared to AEW, which pays a lot better for even less work because there's no training center in AEW. Uh, they did a 0.06 rating for Collision, only 289,000 viewers, but that's better than average for Collision if you want to call that good. And just to get an idea where Tony Khan's mind is, he said his favorite person to use in AEW was Shaquille O'Neal. The guy, and I have nothing wrong with him, but I was never a basketball fan, and I just don't think the future idea is to turn AEW around, bringing people like, remember the Costco guys? They're actually under contract. These Costco guys who got like their 15 minutes of fame is already up, but they have a contract. Explain that. How about you cut a ton of the crappy ones and you pool money together to get better guys from WWE? Like, I'm not even a fan of Drew McIntyre, but he's not being used well in WWE. Bring him. AJ Styles has been wasted. Fire like 20 of the nobodies in AEW and bring in AJ Styles, who hasn't won a like feature match. It seems like forever. Ragu Overlord. Well, I wish more people watched the John Paz Tom Pritchard live streams, but for the cost of them, they didn't make the money that they were costing. So sadly, you got to make money. A lot of people think that you make a lot. It takes a lot of hits to make money on YouTube. I know Marty Jannetty has absolutely no idea how much his videos make. I know I was talking to him the other day. Yeah, the first one I did with him when he doesn't have a million podcasts online did extremely well. But you can't when you've got like 50 or 60 Party with Marty podcasts online, you can't expect the same pay as when you had nothing online because you just not going to continuously get the same hits. But people, and that's the same with Tom Pritchard. I like him, and I'm sure he'll be back on again in some capacity. He also works with NWA. Yes, they're still around apparently, but I think he's also busy with NWA. Drew and AJ, yeah, I mean, I would use the money honestly. They have way too many people under contract, way too many people, and it's too much to do a good job with. And there's so many sitting at home. Cut the fat, and then get the indie circuit is pretty dead overall right now, other than the few indies that have relationships with WWE and AEW. The people that have to make money off of actual gates, where's PWG? Where's PCW? Those were good companies, but there's just wrestlers want to get paid a lot more these days because they're used to that big money. It's harder to make good independence these days because that's the one. AEW has not been good for the indies. It's not been good for companies like NWA. Um, but it has been good for the lucky ones that get a taste of it. But we're seeing wrestling declining right now. You know what? Betrayed by Sin. I would actually rather watch RoboCop than Shaq because I did play competitive basketball for a few years, but I never liked it. My parents, when I was younger, they didn't want to put me in like physical sports because back in the 80s and early 90s, they would say, "Oh, that's going to encourage violence." So even though I really excelled at those when I got into them, but no, I had to play basketball and baseball and soccer. So because I was forced into that, I freaking hate basketball. So I would rather actually watch RoboCop than Shaq. I mean, it was cool to see Shaq the first time with Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, but I honestly don't think that would turn their business around at all. Their roster is massive. Brian, is Paul Roma still waiting for Hulk Hogan? Paul Roma famously called out Hulk Hogan as he's on his deathbed. Oh my God, he was one of the ones that was a true displeasure to meet in the wrestling business. Just I can understand because he did have talent, but why he wasn't used better was just because of his poor attitude. Because God knows how can you get in the Horsemen and screw up the Horsemen? I mean, give me a break. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know your opinions in the comments. Have a great night.